Hello everyone, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In this video, we will be studying a sensitive topic, that is manual scavenging. So what is manual scavenging? From when is it being followed in India? And do we have any law which prohibits manual scavenging? Are there any disadvantages of manual scavenging? And what is the situation of manual scavenging in different countries? This will be the context of today's discussion. Let's begin. What is the context in which we are discussing this particular issue? Okay, you can see here, no deaths due to manual scavenging. 161 died cleaning sewers in 3 years. Now you can think, what is the difference between manual scavenging and sewers? Okay, someone is telling, that is the center is telling that there has been no death by manual scavenging, but 161 people have died by cleaning or while they were cleaning sewers. So what is the difference? You might have this. We will answer this question. 161 died cleaning sewers in 3 years again. So because of this, because the government has said that there has been no deaths by manual scavenging, and this has been countered by an activist called Vijayawada Wilson. So we will see what did the center tell and how did the Vijayawada Wilson, who is an activist against manual scavenging, has countered it. Before that, let's try to understand what manual scavenging is. The manual scavenging, you can see here, it's a practice of removing human excreta by hand from sewers or septic tanks. Okay, in a common language, the septic tanks, we call it as pits. Okay, it is the pits that we call it. So the practice of removing the pits, you might have seen in your houses, when the pit is full, you employ a labor or you employ a person who can clean it for you. This entire process is called as manual scavenging. But India banned this practice of manual scavenging in the year 2013, and we have a law which bans manual scavenging. That is, manual scavengers, you can see here, prohibition of employment as manual scavengers and their Rehabilitation Act. Okay, this mandates that the manual scavenging should be prohibited, and also the manual scavengers who were working during the enactment of this particular act, that is in 2013, should be rehabilitated. This is what this particular act mandates. But this particular act bans any individual for manually cleaning, carrying, disposing or otherwise handling any particular waste, human excreta for that matter. Okay, this is the provision of the particular prohibition of employment of manual scavengers and their Rehabilitation Act of 2013. Look at the data here, very important data, make a note of this, remember this. One manual scavenger dies every 5 days in India since 2017. Okay, there is one manual scavenger who is dying for every 5 days. Even though we have the act, Prohibition of Manual Scavenging Act, which came in the year 2013, how did this evolve? What happened? Look at here, in the year 1993, the act banned manual scavenging in India. Okay, the 1993 act banned manual scavenging in India, and in 2013 it was amended, and the act provided for the punishment for any person who has been engaging in manual scavenging or who employs a scavenger or a manual scavenger for that matter, he was punished. The act provided for the punishment. The prohibition of employment as a manual scavengers and the Rehabilitation Act, the present act that we have, came in the year 2013. What are the main offences under the act? We have understood the act now that was enacted in the year 2013, and what are the offences? Look at here, there are two offences. One is building an insanitary latrine itself is an offence. Employing a manual scavenger is an offence. So the act covers two kinds of offences, and all the people who were already employed as manual scavengers has to be discharged immediately, and the rehabilitation of these manual scavengers has to be done. Okay, this was mandated by the Act of 2013. Even though we have the Act, we are in 2022, it's been almost 9 years since the enactment of the Act. but still we have manual scavenging which is being widely practiced in India. So why is it? What are the reasons because of which manual scavenging is still prevalent in India? Lack of enforcement of the act. See, the act was passed in the year 2013, but how is the enforcement of the act being carried out? There is a lacuna in the enforcement of the prohibition of employment as manual scavengers and the Rehabilitation Act of 2013. This is the first point. Why do we have manual scavengers still in India? This is a very important example that I've given you here. The exploitation of unskilled laborers. Okay, this is happening. And look at the data here. Mumbai civic body, that is the corporation, the government, the local self-government here, it requires 20,000 to 30,000 rupees to clean a septic tank, because this will be done by skilled manpower and also machines. Machines would be employed in order to carry out the cleaning process, which will be carried out by the Mumbai civic body. But what happens if you employ an unskilled labor who is a daily wage worker? What if you employ him? He would be charging somewhere around 300 to 500 rupees per day. Look at the difference when there is 20,000 to 30,000 and you have 300 to 500. So cheap labor that is being provided by the manual scavengers is one of the reason why we have manual scavenging in India. So here you can see, as a solution, what can be done is, if you employ the robots or the machines which cost less, where the initial investment is less, then easily we can counter the menace of manual scavenging in India. Bezawada Wilson, I've told you his name, Bezawada Wilson, who is an activist. He said 472 deaths have been taken place due to manual scavenging from 2016 to 2020. That is, in 4 years, 472 people have died. See, why people die in manual scavenging is because they work in very harsh conditions. Okay, it's the sewage, it's the human excreta that they are dealing with without any safety equipment. Okay, many of the people die because of the lack of oxygen there. Imagine, it will be somewhere around 10 to 12 feet in depth, and people who go there to clean will not be wearing any kind of safety equipment, and they drown and they die because of the suffocation that they die. That is the impact that this manual scavenging is having on people. So now let's understand the sewers versus manual scavenging, because the center has said around 161 people have died because of cleaning sewers and not manual scavenging. So what is the difference? Look at here. Sewers are the underground discharge where the water flows, the wastewater flows, not particularly pertaining to the manual scavenging or the human excreta for that matter. It is just the discharge of the wastewater that is happening. So that is a sewer. It's an underground conduct for carrying of the drainage water. Okay. The Social Justice and Empowerment Minister, that is Virendra Kumar, said 118 people have died in 2019, 19 in 2020, 24 in 2021 pertaining to cleaning of sewers, and these sewers would be maintained by the local government or the municipality for that matter. And the municipality, because of the higher cost that we have seen already, 20,000 to 40,000 rupees is what it costs in order to clean a septic tank by a machine. But an unskilled manual scavenger would do it for less than 500 rupees. Okay. This is the main reason why we have the manual scavenging still in India. What are some of the loopholes of the act that was passed in the year 2013? What are the loopholes? The first one is this particular act of prohibition of employment as manual scavengers and the Rehabilitation Act excludes many people, like the domestic sanitation workers who work in the residential and commercial area, and many more were completely ignored. So this particular act is not holistic and would not cover many people, many class of people. And the second one, the loophole that is there, is this particular act recommended the rehabilitation and also payment of some amount to the family, but this particular process is not happening as desired. You can see here, 2 years it took almost 2 years in order for this particular family to get the compensation that was mandated by the act. And even after waiting for 2 years, they did not get the entire money. So this particular implementation part in this act has to be looked into. What is the situation in other countries? This is with respect to India we have seen. Okay, what is it with respect to other countries? You can see here, the New York Times said that in Pakistan there was a notification which said in order to employ the manual scavengers, only Christians could apply. Okay, it was pertaining to the Pakistani military notification that was out in the year 2019. Only Christians can apply. You can see here there has been a religious tone to this, and also to be precise, it is the minorities that are being cornered or that are being used as manual scavengers in Pakistan. You can see according to Dhaka Water Supply and Sewage Authority, 20% of the city is served by piped sewer network, and the rest 80% they use dry latrines or the septic tanks, which would employ manual scavengers when they are full. So it is not only in India that we have this problem, it is in the entire world we have this problem, and most of the developed countries have a machinery with which they are saving people's life. But in developing countries, in the third world countries or in poor countries, okay, this is not implemented. One more important dimension to manual scavenging is its relationship with the caste system that we have. You can see the Varna hierarchy. I think you must have known the 4 Varnas that we have, hierarchy. Okay, in the post-Vedic period, this particular Varna hierarchy became birth-based, and there was a class of discrimination. There was an example of discrimination towards the lower Varna. The same way, the caste and the manual scavenging has been interlinked. How has it been interlinked? You can see here, the caste hierarchy reinforces occupational hierarchy. Person born in a lower caste, because of his economic and the social discrimination that he has faced, his son or his child would not get the education or would not get the employment in a formal sector. Because of that, he will not have, in order to carry out his livelihood, the only option that he will have is to carry out his father's occupation, that is the manual scavenging. Okay, the Dalits often face discrimination while seeking the employment. You can see the data here. According to the government data, 97% of manual scavengers are Dalits. Okay, about 42,000 manual scavengers belong to SCs, and the many more. The same caste hierarchy or the manual scavenging which is related to caste can be proved using this data. See, these are very important and intricate data that you won't get in a everyday newspaper, or this is not something that you will come across every day. So whenever you come across this, make sure you note it down somewhere so that it will be helpful when you are preparing for your mains examination. All this data, if you use it as a part of introduction, if at all a question is asked on manual scavenging, if you write this data as a part of your introduction, it will create a positive impression for the examiner. Okay, what are the possible solutions? How can we solve this problem? The first one is the implementation of existing welfare policies. According to the Act of 2013, which recommended or which mandated the rehabilitation process, the implementation of the welfare policies should happen. What is the welfare policy? Look at here. 40,000 rupees would be given as a compensation for a person who was involved in manual scavenging, along with the skill development training and capital subsidy. Okay, capital subsidy would be given if he wants to start his own business. Okay, and for self-employed projects, and also skill development training would be done, and also rupees 40,000 would be given as a compensation. So this particular welfare policy has to be implemented. If there is a loophole in implementation, then for sure we will fail short of solving this menace of manual scavenging. Manual scavenging is not just a problem of technology or finance, it is related to social prejudice. We have seen this when we talked about how manual scavenging is related to the caste system that we follow in India. This is what we talked about. So this prejudice, this negative attitude or a prejudice of manual scavengers being dirty, and the policy of purity and pollution which is associated with our caste system has to be removed. Only then we can have a social cohesion and inclusive development and growth. The social awareness should be there. Okay, by having the social awareness, we can easily tackle manual scavenging and work towards better world for all. I hope you have liked the video. For more such enriching content, please subscribe to Legacy IAS Academy. Have a nice day. Thank you.